One second, let me get the party up. I forgot to open up a party for this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, the Same Leader 13, as we are preparing to get underway for our next round in XRL's X3 division here, as we have left the European continent and briefly gone over to the land of Canada, where they have a bunch of Leafs and Tim Hortons at every bloody city, even close to the North Pole. And today we're about to get underway in the semi-permanent circuit, semi-street circuit, hotspot that is known as Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal. Located on an island, this is one of Formula One's premier racetracks, focused primarily on high-speed straightaways. It is a track that is of a dying breed in Formula One. That, coupled with the fact that there are more DRS zones that feel like they come faster than anywhere else, and a lot of really aggressive chicanes, this circuit is a special one. It is one of many people's favorites. As we prepare to get underway here, it looks like we're going to have 14 drivers loading up, so Q1 should be a relatively short, simple affair. Get out there, set a lap, and then you should be fine going forward. Well, we have only 13 drivers, actually. We'll see simply shortly. Per usual, due to the changes in qualifying, it is soft tires, followed by soft tires, followed by soft tires in all the qualifying sessions. The race itself is anticipated to be another one-stop, medium to hard scenario. We are waiting on our first drivers to get out onto the circuit. Come on. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? There we are. Now we're seeing an Aston Martin moving down pit lane, so that implies that's going to be Mercedes AMG, who will be the first driver out onto the circuit here. And he will try to set a lap time that everyone else will be chasing. But again, first session, and it does not look like we have quite 15 drivers, so everyone's just going to be focusing on trying to run to the end. Also, there is a possibility that we are going to have rain near the ending of qualifying, and possibly rain showing up throughout the race. No guarantee, but it is possible. Now we see a Ferrari beginning to make their way out onto the circuit. That would be the Ferrari of MSC SF7, Schumacher, who's your current points leader. And now we're also seeing an AlphaTauri come down pit lane. That would be Egedy, who is coming down. He's going to be joined by one of the Alfa Romeo drivers shortly here. Into the final hairpin. And then you have this really long straightaway with a lot of DRS here, and then it's followed up by the World Champion chicane, named that way after the 1999 race here, where 3 different world champions ended up smashing their cars against the wall there in the exact same race. And then you come right here onto the main straight, which is a much shorter but still significant straightaway, and Herbago may have had an incident coming out of pit lane on cold tires. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and ride silently on board with our championship leader, Schumacher, see what a lap is like here around Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. And so we see there a 112-115 for the Ferrari driver. Here's his main rival in the championship, XRL Zola. Zola trying to pound a lap in real quickly here. Again, short grid at small grid, meaning that Q1 is pretty much irrelevant in today's race. It will just be a matter of getting any valid lap time in, and then afterwards you could retire into the pits without issue. In the event of a late race yellow, you're going to want to be able to jump onto some soft tires, because they will have a significant advantage here compared to most of the other circuits on the calendar. Zola crosses the line, 113.820. That's the third best time we've seen thus far. Herbago in the McLaren in the middle of the lap. He'll come across and finish it with a 111.695. That puts the McLaren driver back on top. Herbago, outside tile threat. 1 second. I must apologize for that, stepping away. As I was saying, Herbago is considered an outside championship threat. It is unknown if he is going to be able to attend all the races this season, but for most of the races he has been attending, he has been absolutely dominant and has put him into a position where, although he's trying to make up for lost races early in the year, he has been absolutely dominant in almost every single race he has attended thus far. As seen by that time at the top of the sheets right now, there is a serious chance that Herbago could walk away today with a similar scenario that he did last week at Baku in the McLaren. Speaking of which, again, the McLaren Masterclass that was put on last week at Baku was incredible. So much speed taken down into turn 1. The word at the end of the race was that the actual going into the weekend, the rumor was that the McLarens are running 4 in the front and 4 in the back. So what I mean by 4 in the front and 4 in the back is that aerodynamically within this game, you have the ability to set up different wing angles. The higher the number of the wing is, the more downforce you're going to have, but also the more drag you're going to have. So lower downforce numbers mean you're going to be a lot slower through the corners, but a lot faster in the straights. It's always going to be about setting a balance. On a street course, you usually want to go ahead and have higher downforce levels to try and make up for the lack of mechanical grip you're going to have in various parts of the circuit, mainly due to just, the track being bumpy. However, Baku is a little bit more unique. There are a lot of long straightaways there, including the one artificially long straightaway that actually breaks FIA's straightaway building rules that they implemented in the late 80s. And in that scenario, Baku's always been a matter of trying to find that nice little in-between balance. Well, what the McLarens did, rumor was, the day before the race, is that they were running 4 in the front and 4 in the back. On a scale of 1 to 50, that means they were running very close to minimum wing. In the end, the actual numbers were not 4 and 4. The actual numbers were 2 and 3 in the end, and there has been a Alpine that has gone around, and that is Dave, who has come to a stop. Is that Boothie's had an accident? No, Boothie's not. Stop, Boothie has had an accident. He is out early in qualifying. Snakes invalidated this lap as Flavor is in the middle of the lap right now. So the question now, although there's only going to be one McLaren in today's race, the question is, will the McLarens be able to repeat that feat again today? Coming to the party right now is Boothie116. Boothie, go ahead, include your audio. Accident in what looked like the middle of your flying lap. What happened?
Yeah, just put the power down too early and slid into the wall. Great time. Oh dear.
Alright, well, nasty accident. The question is going to be, can you recover in the race itself?
Yeah, why not? Everyone else is going to end up in the wall as well, so just try and survive, see what happens.
Right. Oh, it's for you, which, just as you said that, XRL Dave has gone into the wall just a quarter later from where you did. Ha! He's able to continue, though. Only the front wing's knocked out. All right, Boothie. Well, hopefully we get to talk to you again after the race is over. It's a shame to see you taken out like that, mate.
See you soon.
Beastian has also had a spin coming out of pit lane, and he's come nearly to a complete stop just to let other drivers pass. So drivers are struggling to get proper laps in. This is Imperium as he now begins his lap. Schumacher, interestingly enough, has not come off of the track after saying his initial lap. He actually went faster, 111.396, and he did that as the fuel load was lightening up as the tires passed their peak operating window. Flavor now running behind his teammate Schumacher, gained a draft off of him down the straight. But both of them are going to retire into the pits now after saying their times. Dave coming into the pits. Here comes Imperium, meanwhile, in the middle of his lap. Mercedes across the line trying to improve. He's actually down by 2.5 seconds, but he can go for another shot at it here. Imperium out of the final hairpin, and now onto the second of the 3 DRS zones on the circuit. Collie Boy setting up for another lap. Here comes Imperium. And across the line in the Williams, Imperium will go ahead and set a 1:15.561. It's the slowest time thus far. But not to worry because, again, with only 13 cars here, this is not going to be too much of an issue. Just go ahead, set a lap, and you're in, which makes the situation for Boothie all the more frustrating because that accident means that he will not be able to partake in Q2. Oh, someone, I think Fratters has just joined the session, actually, and that's nice to see. Bit of a stack up there in the Williams pits. Dave in the middle of an outlap trying to get a lap in after crashing on his first attempt. Herbago on another outlap, so he wants to go ahead and try to improve and get back to the top of the timesheets. Following the Alfa Romeo, and interesting enough, Herbago running right behind him, actually going to be gaining a significant draft off of him down the straights. Normally this is frowned upon, but at a track like Montreal, it's a lot harder to, not get a draft off the person ahead. This is not a very large track, and the laps go by here extremely quickly. Fratters on an outlap now as he is preparing to get a lap in here. Zach has actually joined as well. So we have 2 Haas drivers who have joined us, and this is great to see. I do hope Zach's... Oh! What in the devil? Fratters? What? Okay. Well, he's gonna have to... He's gonna continue with the damaged front wing, I guess. May have possibly been caused by lag, I don't know, but there's a possibility that Fratters might have a damaged car, and if he pushes too hard, he may end up compromising this lap. So Fratters now invalidated this lap. Zach in the middle of his own out lap right now, as is Beastian in the Mercedes. His teammate Snake has already set a time, 4th fastest thus far, 112.576. Zach in the Haas, now in the middle of his lap. Again, for the Haas drivers, along with Beastian, they just have to get a lap recorded, and then they'll be fine. Fratters really seems to be struggling, and I don't know if it's because of the damaged front wing or what, but he is really having a lot of troubles even trying to get a lap in here. Zach has had a hiccup there in the Sector 1 chicane as well. There is one other car on track right now, and that is Eggity in the AlphaTauri, who currently is 8th on the timesheets with 13.002. Beastian now begins his lap. We turn our focus to Zach. Again, the Haas drivers don't have to push excessively hard to get a lap in. They just need to cross the line at this point. There may be something up with the rear and the... Okay, no, he's just swerving back and forth for some reason. Most of the drivers who have set times have already retired in pit lane. They know there is no need to go out and set another lap. Zach invalidates in the final corner, and this is bad news for Zach, because this means he's not even going to be able to get this next lap valid either. And Fratters has invalidated this lap as well. He's only going to have one shot at this to properly get a lap in. So there is a risk that Zach will not advance by virtue of just not setting a time. For Beastian, shouldn't be as much of a worry. As long as he keeps it clean in the final chicane, the World Champion chicane, he'll be fine. Oh, and Zach's had an accident. Well, not an accident, but a spin coming out of the first of the Sector 2 chicane, coming into the DRS straight. So it's just been bad news after bad news for our 2 Haas drivers. So the time is up. Fratters will finally cross the line with the recorded time, 117.991. Beastian got his time in, 13.223. And with that, the session comes to a close. As Beastian brings his Mercedes into pit lane. And there's your results. 15 drivers showed up. Boothie will not advance. It looks like the game's going to go ahead and throw Zach a bone and will let him advance. But right now, the Haas drivers, in a very frustrating and tight scenario, may be hard for them to advance. But look at this. Top 9, all within 2 seconds of each other. There is a possibility that you will have to set a time in the 112s to be safe to advance to the next round. So 14 cars fighting for 10 spots. The first man to get out into the circuit this session will be the driver in the Mercedes XRL Snake. Coming down to it, you can already see nearly about 2/3 of the field have already gotten onto track, trying to get laps in here. So a bit of a rush to get laps recorded early in this session. Snake now beginning his run. Keep an eye on this man here in the McLaren, Herbago. Went through 2 sets of tires in the last round of qualifying. May end up reusing one of those again. And as I say that, Herbago actually has a hiccup, a bit of a mistake, a bit of an oopsie-doopsie there in the Sector 2 chicane, and due to that, this lap's basically thrown away. Hollyboy's gotten by, and he's going to overtake the Aston Martin or Mercedes AMG. So now the track clears up for him to get a lap in. Through the final chicane, and Hollyboy will be the third person to set a lap in the session. He'll set a 1:12.228. Very respectable time on his end. Zach in the Haas, finally going to try and get a proper lap in. Schumacher to the top, 1:11.5. Zach goes across the line with a 1:10.460. Herbago finally gets a time in the 124s, but he's in the middle of going for another lap. This is Flavor in the second Ferrari camp right now. Zola now beginning to come out onto the circuit as the track's activity is calming down just a bit. Flavor will go ahead and set a lap time 112.712. That's good enough for 5th at the moment. Herbago low on fuel, but going to commit anyway. And out of the wall championship chicane, he plants that McLaren almost dead parallel with the outside wall, and will set a time 111.437. Dave, the only driver left on track, still in the middle of a lap. Fratters in the Haas with a 14.4 is on the bubble, and Dave is looking to knock him off. Zola in the middle of his lap in the Red Bull camp now. Interestingly enough, in the Red Bull camp, Zola's teammate is not able to show up, so this is going to kind of kneecap both the Red Bull and the McLaren effort, who also only has one representative today. So Zola and Herbago both going to have to pull some heavy duty in order to bring up their resolve in the manufacturer's fight. In the Drivers' Championship, Schumacher's still on top, but it's not been looking good for him. He did run a practice race earlier in the week, was not able to make it to the end due to handling issues leading to a crash. So this may be a good chance today for Zola and Herbago to try and close the gap down in the Drivers' Championship points. And we'll go a little bit more over the championship fight in the interim between Q3 and the start of the race itself. Imperium, who has just come out of the pit lane, and Mercedes, who is in the middle of his flying lap now, trying to knock Plastic Love out of the top 10. Herbago retires in the pits. Mercedes crosses the line, 113.326. That's only good enough for 11th right now, but Zola at the moment is not in a position where he could advance. He is up by 1.2 seconds this lap, though, and if he keeps that together, that should put him into about 8th, so around 7th or 8th. Across the line for Zola, he will improve up to 4th, 111.969. So Egedy is now on the bubble, and Plastic Love has been squeezed out. Love's already responded. He's in the middle of a lap right now. Mercedes would like to figure out some way to improve, but it's not looking so good for the Aston Martin right now. Schumacher, for whatever reason, has come back out onto the circuit and is in the middle of another flyer. Plastic Love invalidated that lap. He was up by a full second, and that would have gotten him into the 12s, but that invalidation has cost him, and now he is down on ERS. And this lap is invalid as well, so this has just not gone from bad to worse for Plastic. For Fratters in the Haas, slowest man on track at the moment, he needs to turn things around. Fratters goes way off circuit in the braking zone in the final hairpin. Now granted, this is just his outlap, and he could be trying to set up for greater straight line speed here. As Imperium, in the middle of the lap now. Last driver to set a time in the session. It's not going to be a fast one, though. But as he crosses the line, 1:15.9. Worst time thus far. Fratters coming across the line as he will now begin to try and improve. Eggety in the middle of an outlap. There's still 5 minutes left in the session and a lot of potential movement that we could see happen. Fratters and Imperium still on laps right now. Fratters actually just ahead of Imperium. Imperium's invalidated this lap, though. Fratters needs to improve by 2 seconds if he wants a shot at advancing. Very much a straight line going into the final chicane. At the line for Fratters, does he improve enough? No, 113.6. He only improved by 8/10. He's still 13th. Mercedes trying to knock Edgedy out of the top 10 as well. Car's very slow on fuel right now. He's laying on the ERS, and if this lap doesn't do it, he's got another one set up. Yeah, that one was not good enough. He was in the 115s, but he's setting up for another flyer here. 6 of our top 7 fastest have all retired in the pits. The Mercedes of Beastian, the Alfa Romeo of XRL Dave, and the Ferrari of XRL Flavor are all watching with bated breath to see if anyone outside of the top 10 will be able to go fast enough and put them into the hot seat. But no movement on pit lane to get them on track yet. Eggety improved by 84 thousandths, but he is still 10th, and the next driver at risk of being knocked out. Plastic Love is on an outlap. Mercedes AMG trying to go faster. Fratters down by a full second. This lap is not any better for him, and he is out of ERS. He may pit. That's exactly what he's going to do. Oh, and Eggety's had an accident. Well, I say an accident. It looks like it's just a spin, but Eggety has had a spin in the middle of his next lap. And Mercedes and Plastic Love are still putting pressure on him. Here comes Mercedes to the line. In the Aston Martin, 113. He's up by over a quarter of a second, but he still needs to improve by about another 4/10 if he wants a serious shot at knocking Eggety out. Plastic Love now in his lap. Plastic has slowed down all of a sudden. I don't see any evidence that he is low on fuel. He may have gotten a heads up that coming out of Sector 1, he was down on time. Mercedes down on time at the end of Sector 2. He keeps burning his tires up, but the car is getting lighter and lighter due to the reduced fuel load. At the line, in the Aston Martin, Mercedes AMG. No, again, this time he's down by 1.2 seconds. He's very nearly out of ERS. He's only going to have time for this lap, and maybe one more. Flavor is on an outlap. He feels the pressure. He thinks that there's a risk that he's going to get squeezed out. Fratter's on an outlap as well. Now, for these two, it's going to be a risk, because we don't know if they're going to be able to make it to the start-finish line in time to get another lap in. Plastic coming across the line. He needs to improve by roughly 3/10 if he wants to knock Eggity out. Mercedes has gone around in the middle of this lap. That's it. He's not going to get to the line in time for another lap. Mercedes is out. Will Fratters make it to the line in time? Eggity feels confident. He retires in pit lane. Plastic is up by almost 15 thousandths at the end of Sector 1. Fratters and Flavor both made it to the line in time for another lap. Plastic is up by a quarter of a second. If he can gain just another 5/100ths, he could be in. He could knock Eggity out in the closing moments of this session. Does he invalidate in the Wall of Champions chicane? No. It's a little bit bobbly, but he's still good. At the line. Does he make it in? No! Yes, he does! 112.349! Eggity is out! And now Flavor is the man on the hot seat, and the person putting him on the hot seat is the driver ahead of him on track, Fratters. Flavor is up on time in Sector 2, but it was down on time in Sector 1. And Fratters is validated! Fratters has invalidated! Flavor is just barely going to stay in! Out of the final corner comes Fratters and Flavor, and across the line, the Ferrari actually improves up to 9th. And there's your results. And like I said, you need to be in the 12s to get guaranteed. That was wrong because Eggity was in the 12s and still got squeezed out at the very end there. So 10 cars trying to line up for the final 10 positions here in the final round of qualifying. And this could end up being very interesting because there is a risk of rain in this round of qualifying. So a lot of drivers pushing really hard to try and be among the first to get out onto the circuit. Collie Boy already out on track here early on. Zach F1 also pushing it already. So with threat of rain, 9 of our 10 drivers already on track, and our 10th one, Snake, is coming out as well. But Dave has the biggest advantage at the moment, but watch this trio. Herbago, Schumacher, and Zach, these have been the fastest 3 in Q1 and Q2, so this trio will be the one to watch. Herbago at the back of this little train will be getting a lot of draft from the cars ahead. Try and warm up his tires at the last moment. And will actually get on the brakes. Gonna make it a little bit harder for him and Schumacher to line up the run through the final chicane. But they're going for it now. Collie in the middle of his lap. And he's invalidated. So the focus goes to Zach, and he's already invalidated as well. So the focus goes to Schumacher, as the 2 cars ahead of him have already invalidated. Herbago and Schumacher at the moment are the two fighting for the pole position. Now everyone else could still have a shot at it if these two invalidate. Rain has not fallen yet, but it could start coming at any time. .54. Couldn't see what it was for Herbago when he crossed the line, though, sadly. Clean through the final chicane. Schumacher comes to the line. He'll set his time. 1:11.296. Here comes Herbago, and he goes faster. 1:11.291 by 5 thousandths. Here comes Snake in the Mercedes. He's not. I think rain is starting to fall. And Zach has crashed out. Zach has crashed out. And Zach will not start near the front. Dave goes up to third, 1:11.937. Zola fourth, 1:12.113. Flavor, 13.5. And I believe rain is falling. Herbago may have just nicked Schumacher for the pole. Snake, 1:12.5. Holy Boy coming to the line. We're going to try and get Zach into the party here. I'm right on board and I don't see any rain. No, there I say, as I say that, I saw rain. All right, coming out of the final chicane, here comes Collie Boy. He puts the lap down. 1:11.468. Herbago's invalidated this lap. Schumacher is on a cooldown. Collie is nearly out of fuel. He's not going to be able to get another proper flyer in. Dave's invalidated this lap. Zola, he is down on time right now. He's not going to improve either. Snake's invalidated. Beastian, 113.8. Plastic Glove is the only driver who has not been able to get a time in yet, and rain is falling, so this is it. I believe that lap we see on the board there, that's how it's going to be to the end. For Plastic, he needs to just get around and record a lap. And he invalidates now, as nearly the entire field comes into the pits to retire. DRS has been disabled, so it's official. Those top 8 times will not move because there will be no way to overcome them. As we see Plastic Glove coming down into pit lane. And Zola is attempting to go back out on track. I don't know what they're doing in the Red Bull camp, but Zola's trying to go out again. DRS has been disabled and the track is completely slick. But in the Red Bull camp, they have sent Zola back out. The only car on track right now, he's not going to improve. And even if the rain was to stop now, the track is already partially soaked. Normally, Zola pulls out these grand, amazing 55,000 IQ strategy when it comes to weather manipulation, but they may have taken a swing and a miss in the Red Bull camp. Plastic's retired in the pits. Beastian's retired in the pits. I believe everyone's probably going to retire in the pits over the next few minutes here. Zola, I don't know why he went out again and put himself and the car under unnecessary risk. Fortunately, he does not damage anything. But yeah, this is it. that's it. Qualifying over. And in pole position, it will be Herbago in the McLaren. All right, and coming to the party right now is Herbago in the McLaren. Herbago, go ahead and include your audio. A fantastic drive at the end or at the start of Q3 puts you on pole position by just 5 thousandths of a second. Make sure your audio is included. What do you have to say about that run? All right, do you think you can repeat what you did last week at Baku and just be the fastest car out there by a massive margin against everyone else? All right, I do want to say thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Great job on the poll. Let's see if we can turn this into another win. Zola has come back out onto the circuit again. This time they have equipped him with intermediate tires. At this point, my guess is that in the Red Bull camp, they are using this to try and get some data if rain is going to fall in the race itself. What does the car's handling look like? There is a chance of rain in the race itself. It's not high, but there is a possibility. So we're just gonna go ahead and ride silently on board for Zola with a lap in this rainy condition. Well, Zola brings into the pits now, but what we could see from that lap is just in the first two sectors alone, Zola down by 4.5 seconds, and that's only with 1.5 zones of DRS disabled, and then also the intermediate tire. So yeah, there is no doubt about it. We knew the intermediate tires were a lot slower, but now we kind of have a small window into what the actual gap in time is going to be. We could be looking in the race itself, if rain comes, lap times to fall off by nearly 7 seconds, comparing wet to dry. So there's the results. For a one-lap flyer, 5 of our 8 drivers that got times in were all within 9/10 of each other. And look at that gap. Herbago and Schumacher at the front with just a 5,000th of a second gap between them. So real quickly, we're going to go ahead and look at the championship standings as they are right now. Before we get underway for the race itself, we should be looking at a slightly earlier than normal start. So, in the Manufacturers' Championship, Williams is 10th with 24 points. AlphaTauri is 9th with 28 points. 8th is Aston Martin and 7th is Mercedes. They are both even with each other, 39 points each. 6th is Alfa Romeo. They have 54 points. 5th is Alpine. They have 77. 4th is Haas. They have 90 points. 3rd is Red Bull with 93. Then we get into the manufacturers' fight. 2nd, McLaren with 139 points. Ferrari first with 140. So a 1-point swing in Ferrari's favor. McLaren has put their driver on the pole, but we have 2 Ferrari drivers running today. We do not have 2 McLaren drivers today, only 1, so Herbago going to have to try and dig the team out of a hole. When it comes to the Drivers' Championship, it goes as follows. 18th is Extra Snake with 1 point. There is a tie for 16th between Constant Jet and Plastic Love, 8 points each. There is a 3-way tie for 13th still. Mercedes AMG, Boothie 116, Eggity 75. They all have 10 points each. 12th is XRL Dave. He has 12 points. 11th is Gulminator. He has 14 points. 10th is Ocean Lion 08 with 16. 9th is CJ Hurricane with 21. 8th is Fratters with 24 points. 7th is AK Herbie with 38. 6th is XRL Flavor with 39 points. 5th is Collie with 42 points. 4th is Mantic Meerkat with 68. 3rd is Herbago with 71 points. And with that win, with the great run that he had at Azerbaijan last week, he's closing in the title fight. 2nd is XRL Zola, 85 points, leading the driver standings right now is Schumacher SS7 with 101 points. So the gap at the top, 16 points in Schumacher's favor at the moment in the Drivers' Championship. But Herbago is starting to turn the 2-way drivers' title fight between himself and Zola into a menage a trois. We should be getting underway shortly here. Very wide range of strategies throughout the grid, apparently. Everyone 11th on back seemed to want to start on hard tires. Then Beastie and Plastic Love and Zach all saying he'll start on mediums. Flavor is starting on the hards. Snake and 6 is starting on the mediums. Dave and Zola in 4th and 5th, they're both starting on the hards. Collie is starting on mediums. Schumacher, in an interesting twist, maybe starting this race on soft. So there's a possibility that the rumors in the paddock are true and that the Ferrari team may try a 2-stopper going soft, medium, soft, or soft, soft, medium to the end. Herbago is going to be starting the race on mediums. As we stand by and wait to get underway for the race itself. This is going to end up being very, very interesting when it comes to how the race is going to start. Just kind of standing by and waiting to get underway. Q3 ending very early due to rain, but the track is nice and dry once again. We have been told that there is roughly a 12% chance of rain in the later stages of this race, and that was the main reason we actually got told by Zola that the reason he went out that second time on the intermediates was just to see how the setup was that he had and how it was going to handle in the wet. He says that he was pleasantly surprised with it, so Zola may have a small leg up on his on-track rivals, being a little bit more familiar with how his car is going to be and more comfortable with how his car is going to be in rainy conditions. But the interesting thing is going to be Schumacher versus Herbago at the front of the grid. Schumacher potentially starting on softs. We'll get confirmation of that once they start rolling for their warm-up lap and formation lap. But if so, he should have the advantage over the McLaren at the start of the race. And if we stay green for a long enough period of time, Schumacher, although he'll have to pit before Herbago, will likely come out on track midfield and will have to start trying to overtake cars. So it's going to be an interesting strategy if that's what they go for. There's also a chance, though, that Flavor may have a completely different strat in mind. He is starting on the hard tires from what we saw, and a hard-soft compound could very much be in the cards for him as well. Alright, and now we begin our warm-up lap. And no, in the end, Schumacher is going to be running on hards. In fact, in the end, everyone goes and is just going to run hards or mediums to start the race. So that neutralizes a lot of the fun and strategy. So of note, keep an eye on Plastic Love, Zach F1, XRL Snake, and Herbago. Those drivers may try a medium soft strategy. Right now, those drivers are the ones that are most likely to be able to pull such a strat off. Also, I do want to give a quick shout out because I thought twice about saying something, but I was in the middle of other things, talking about other things when I thought of it. But I do want to give a shout out to the Alfa Romeo duo of Collie Boy and XRL Dave. I do believe across the entire grid, those two drivers are the closest in pace to each other, or basically closest in pace relative to their teammate out in the entire field. It's a fantastic job seeing them once again sharing a row near the front. Zola starting in 5th, going to have a very interesting scenario to try and deal with. And the drivers in the back, once again, waiting a very long time to get to the line. And that's going to kind of neutralize a lot of the heat that our top 4, top 5 starters, actually nearly everyone near the front, got in that warm-up lap. All right, and now we see the lights. 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, away we go here at Montreal. It's a very slow start by everyone except Herbago. Snake gets a respectable run. They're 3 wide, they're nearly 4 wide going into turn number 1 there. And it's going to be Snake who's going to get by Zola. He'll go up into the 4th position there, go up into 3rd position, and Snake has gone up to 3rd, and Zola has regained his position back in the 4th. And they're still side by side as they go through the chicane, and Zola finally gets ahead of Snake. Championship contenders, 1st, 2nd, 3rd throughout the grid now. So and Snake really turned that start on the medium tires into a great boon. Now he's trying to make another run on Zola. Backs out of it just a bit here in the braking zone, but will try to outrun him to the hairpin. Not going to happen. Zola had a better run coming out of that chicane. At the front, Schumacher is not letting Herbago get away yet. He has the advantage entire life long term, But Herbago has the advantage in clean air and fresher tires right now. Herbago going to try and open up enough of a gap on Schumacher to get away from DRS range. Flavor in 7th, hounding the Alfa Romeos. He's actually going to brake a bit down the straight because he doesn't want to end up fighting with them, it would appear. For the moment, Flavor seems content to just run in their tire tracks. That's a great shot. I love that shot. Zach's ahead of Fratters as Zach started on the medium rubber. Classic Love is 10th. Boothie did move up to 14th at the initial start, but everyone's clean, and we got through our first lap with no damage, no one with wing damage or any sort of yellow flags throughout, and that's absolutely fantastic to see. It actually makes me very happy. Snake still stalking Zola as long as his tires will let him. Zola not keeping pace with our top 2 at the moment, though. It appears that Zola's setup, while it's very well set up for the rain, may not be super idealized for racing conditions. But even at that, at the front, Herbago is now gapping Schumacher significantly. And Dave in 5th is actually closing in on this fight. And mind you, Dave is on hard tires and may be outpacing both Snake and Zola. Now, it's kind of hard to tell what Snake's actual pace is because he is being held up by the Red Bull. DRS has been enabled now, and this will be one of the main fights to watch. Watch this as well, because Beastian is here behind Fratters, and Fratters is at risk of losing DRS from Plastic Love, so Beastian might be able to break into the points-paying positions. If Fratters has a bad run, it looks like, yeah, Fratters not keeping it together as well as he'd want. Beastian's going to have a good DRS shot here in Sector 2, potentially. Collie Boy's going to get by Dave farther up. So a swap in the Alfa Romeo camp. It looks like Dave may have backed out to have not run to the back of Zola and let his teammate by. Zach trying to get around Flavor at the moment. Flavor has track position, but Zach has better tires, and this should go very much in Zach's favor when they get onto the DRS straights here. Yellow flag in Sector 3, and that is Fratters in the Haas, who has missed the braking zone. What in the devil was that? Don't know what happened there, but Fratters definitely didn't have a very smart moment there. Eggedy goes by Beastian using DRS. And Plastic Love gets a time penalty for track violations. Snake, Zola, fighting for position. Snake made a lunge on Zola around the outside going into 1. He's kept it together and using the superior tire. For the moment, at least, Snake is now by Zola. Love gets by Zach now. So Zach struggling to try and overtake the Ferrari of XRL Flavor. And Flavor may be closing on Dave as well. So there may be something wrong with the Alfa Romeo of Dave. Does not seem to be maintaining the pace he had at the initial start. Look at Zach back there. Zach just blasters by Plastic, even though both of them had DRS. So we know that that Haas is fast, but that accident in Q3 after an invalid lap put him near the middle of the pack instead of at the front where he belongs. And now navigating traffic is proving to be a very, very rough task for him to overcome here. Zola in 4th now gets a time penalty as he is trying to run the tire tracks of Snake, who is in 3rd. Plastic still running right behind the Haas. Both Zach and Plastic have medium tires. And they're absolutely abusing out of them. Zach opening up DRS to close in on the Ferrari of Flavor, but he's not close enough to make a move through there. Eggity trying to make something happen on Mercedes-AMG. Couldn't do it in that DRS zone, but he'll look again shortly. Classic has DRS on Zach. Zach has DRS on Flavor. Flavor had a better exit out of the hairpin, but Zach should be able to utilize superior speed and DRS to get by Flavor. He'll also have DRS on the main straight as well, and with the medium tires, it should give him superior enough traction. He should be right on the Ferrari's rear wing coming out of Wall of Champions. He opens up the DRS again, but it's Plastic who's actually got the run. Plastic is going to go on the offense against Zach once again as they go into turn 1. Side by side, Plastic has to back out of it. But again, Zach can't go on the offense against Flavor because he is being hounded by the Williams of Plastic Love. Oh, Snake has crashed out! Snake has had an accident! And that will be our first full course yellow of the day. And Snake crashed out of, wow, running in the top 3. And the entire field goes under yellow flag. Will anyone go ahead and get off strategy? Becomes the new question. That came at a point where not very many drivers could go ahead, and Herbago's gonna pit. Herbago's gonna pit, and is he going to? Yes, I think Herbago's gonna jump onto the hards and try and make hards go the rest of the way. It's a bold strategy, but it might pay off for him if there's enough yellow left in this race to get him some spots back. The other thing to consider is that Herbago had opened up enough of a gap. He's not going to lose too many positions potentially. I think he's gonna come out in the 4th or 5th position here. Yeah, Herbago's gonna come out 4th on fresh hards. Zach staying on his mediums, Plastic staying on his mediums. Also note, Dave pitted here, putting him on medium tires, so he's gonna have to pit. Fratters is pitting. Boothie, they put him on medium tires, he'll have to pit again. Imperium's coming in. Yeah, Boothie, they've put on medium, so he's gonna have to pit again. What about Imperium? Medium tires, so no one wants to touch the sods, and there is front wing damage on Imperium's car that we missed somewhere. But Herbago now going to be in the middle of the field on fresher rubber that he's going to have to try and nurse to the end of this race. So an early yellow flag, a Snake crashed out of the top 4 positions. This also promotes Zola back into 2nd place behind title rival Schumacher. And they're both on equally old tires. For Schumacher, this could work out well if we have a nice long green flag run. He now has clean air, and he could open up a gap on the rest of the field. If we stay green throughout the rest of this race, Schumacher may have a small advantage over Herbago, because while Herbago is going to try and nurse these tires to the end, Schumacher can go and get proper use out of his hard tires, and when he jumps on the mediums, it won't be as bad. For Zola, it's kind of the same scenario, but Zola's going to have to try and figure out a way to close the gap that he's had in pace between himself and Schumacher and himself and Herbago. Zola is also going to have to overcome a time penalty. However, if anyone can do it, it's Zola. He's pulled out these kind of feats before in the higher category, X2. I would expect him to be able to do something like this here in X3 as well. Collie Boy really punching above his weight thus far today, running 3rd at the moment. So the Alfa Romeos in a serious sneaky fight for the podium, but he's going to have to hold off Herbago, who is going to be on fresh hards right behind him. And Flavor, now up in 5th, has shown some very respectable speed, keeping Zach and Plastic Love behind him, while those two have had DRS and better tires. So I think Flavor has a very significant advantage in pace that we've not really seen the full extent of thus far. This could work out very well for the Manufacturers Championship hopes. Imperium is back there in 14th, still trying to catch the rear of the grid, but I do anticipate that we should be going green this lap, well, coming on to lap 9, because he's so bloody close to the rear of the field right now. Or maybe not. Hopefully. Pace car is pulling away. And now Schumacher rushing up to close the gap. Yeah, we're going another lap. So Imperium did not close in fast enough. Also want to give a shout to Boothie. It's not much, but he's gone from 15th to 12th thus far. He is now on medium tires, but everyone 11th to 14th is on the medium rubber. Now, these 4 drivers will all have to pit again. They're betting on another yellow flag to probably jump onto another set of mediums later in the event. But they will be faster than the drivers directly in front of them, so there should be some fighting going on from about 5th all the way back to 14th on this restart, just due to pressure from the back of the field trying to muscle their way up the grid. Real quick, as we ride on board, Schumacher good on fuel. Zola is good on fuel. Hollyboy looks to also be good on fuel. Herbago is good on fuel. Flavor, good on fuel. Zach is good on fuel. Plastic's good on fuel. Mercedes seems to be good on fuel. Beastian's good on fuel. Agne's a little close, but he's still good on fuel. Dave is fine on fuel. Boothie's a little close, but he's still good in the plus on fuel. Safety car officially coming in this lap. Fratters is in the positive on fuel, as is Imperium. So everyone is good on fuel to the end. Schumacher will be leading the fuel to the restart. Zola will be second. Cauley, I think, is going to be the real linchpin in this 4-way fight, because Herbago's going to want to get by him as fast as he can. The better Cauley Boy gets the restart, the more and more it's going to have an effect on our 3 championship contenders here as we come to the green. And Schumacher opens up the gap. Zola pops the power down as well. He's not letting Schumacher get away. Cauley gets caught off guard, and so does Herbago. So no one in the top 4 really able to do anything. Imperium gets a time penalty for track violations coming to the green. That's not going to help him. Flavor didn't have a good restart either. The top 4 are all starting to close back in on each other once again, though. Dave already getting by Eggity. So those worn hards of Eggety's not working well against the fresher mediums. Dave now has a time penalty, though, as he's trying to rush up to Beastian in 9th. Beastian, the only Mercedes driver left in the race right now. Zach has a run on Flavor ahead. Oh boy, does he have a run, but it kind of stalls out here. Or does it? No, he's got to run. He's got to make this move without DRS. Sheer driver ability by chance. He's got to dive to the inside. Flavor has to run wide to not hit him. And look at Plastic. He's got to try and throw it up 3 wide. He backs out of it last second. But as Plastic went in there, Zach backed out of it. And Flavor put the power down and pulled back ahead. And now Plastic's coming on the outside. Takuma Sato style. Here comes the Williams on the outside of the Haas as they go into the World Championship chicane. He's got it. Takuma Sato style. Outstanding drive, outstanding stuff there in the Williams. 100% driver skill, 100% confidence in the car. Zach comes diving back to the inside, can't make the move into turn 1. Out bloody standing, Plastic. Outstanding. That is what we like to see. Amazing stuff. Anyways, Plastic now ahead of Zach. And Zach has to back way off to kind of get his wits back about him, and now it will be Plastic's turn to try and make a move on Flavor. Schumacher has already opened up a 2-second gap on Zola. Herbago got by Cauley Boy without any issue. Here comes Herbago on Zola now. Herbago on fresher, hard tires. He doesn't have to run down Zola or Schumacher that hard, but he'll want to get by Zola as fast as he can because Zola is most definitely slower. There's no DRS here, it's just draft, but Herbago definitely has the advantage on Zola when it comes to putting the power down. Herbago is by, he's now up to second, just 2 seconds out from Schumacher. Again, right now Herbago has the advantage in tires, but as this race goes on, the advantage will swing in Schumacher's favor, because Schumacher is getting the proper use out of his hards. Herbago's going to have to really nurse these tires to the end. There's also a possibility that if Herbago can't make these tires last, he'll have to pit one more time to throw on soft tires. That means he'll be a lot faster near the ending part of the race, But the counterpoint to that, though, is that he'll lose all that time from an extra pit stop. It's a bold strategy, but it's not one I don't know I'd feel very confident being on, considering that he didn't get proper full use out of his mediums when he was on them. I at least think it probably would have been better for him to stay out a few more laps like we saw Plastic and Zach do, because those two are still relatively fast and racy. The only reason they've not been gaining positions is because Flavor has been putting on an outstanding defensive drive here thus far, and that may be coming to an end shortly. Zach has completely fallen off of these duo, but Plastic Love is not done yet. He is right behind the Ferrari. DRS engages. Here comes Plastic Love. It should be an easy overtake. And Schumacher now gets a time penalty that's not going to help him going forward. Plastic easily overtakes Schumacher, going into the Wall of Champions chicane. And we use the DRS in the main straight to open the gap on him a bit more. So Plastic now up in the 5th. Collie Boy has caught Zola for 3rd. Oh, Fratters is gotten by Boothie and Beastian, going in through 1. And now Eggity has caught them as well, despite the fact that he's on relatively worn hard tires. So a potential hiccup between this duo. Flavor keeping touch with Plastic. Flavor has the advantage in tires now, because at this point the mediums are starting to fall off a bit. Dave's forward march through the field has turned into a scenario where he is now closing on Zach, who was one of the faster drivers earlier in the race. Oh, Dave missed his braking zone there, trying to lunge on Zach, and that actually turned the advantage back into... Oh, and Collie just got by Zola on DRS. So Zola struggling significantly, and now he gets another time penalty through the Wall of Champions chicane. Plastic Love gets another time penalty as well. Dave losing touch with Zach now, has to hold off Mercedes as Beastian is pitting farther back. Likely to repair wing damage from whatever happened between himself and Boothie. Dave now trying to hold off both Mercedes and Fratters, but he still has a slightly fresher air on his front tires. He's trying to get close enough to Zach so he can utilize DRS to mount a charge against the Haas ahead and also shake the Aston Martin behind. It looks like he'll be just close enough to have DRS on the straight. The Aston Martin will have DRS behind as well, though. And that is Imperium, who has had an accident coming onto the Zone 2 DRS straight, the Sector 2 DRS straight. This is going to get interesting. Dave is here behind Zach. DRS in his favor now. He's got fresher tires. He's got DRS. He's got the draft. Goes to the outside. One up alongside. Who backs out first into the corner? And it will be the Haas. The Haas backs out earlier. And Dave now moves up into 6th. And Dave, at this point, he tries to go back to the inside. He's going to make a lunge going into turn 1 to get this spot back. Denies the inside to 1, but that gives Dave the inside in 2. And on the way out, Dave has a twitch and ends up nearly spinning. He saves the car, but will lose that position. And now here comes Mercedes. He'll capitalize. He'll lunge. Can't make it work. Mercedes has to back out. And that lets Fratters go ahead and put pressure on the Aston Martin now. Gets right behind the rear wing of that car. Looking. Dives under braking. Runs both of them off the racing line a bit. Mercedes is pushed off. He's not going to be happy about that. But the Haas is by. Here comes Boothie now. He's not close enough to make anything happen. Farther up, Zola is keeping touch with Collie Boy, and for the lead, Herbago has DRS on Schumacher. He has fresher tires. He is dealing with aerodynamic wake, but Schumacher has a time penalty. Herbago does not, and with the way this race has been going, Herbago may have the advantage back by virtue of not having a time penalty. Both of these drivers burning through their ERS at comparable rates right now. Zola going around the outside of Collie Boy. Holly gets back by. They're still side by side, but it looks like Zola will finally in the end get it. Oh, and Colley's around! And into the outside wall! And that will move Plastic up in the 4th, Flavor up in the 5th. What are you doing? I know he's trying to just stay out of everyone else's way, but this is not going well for him. Please don't get DQ'd. Please don't get disqualified. And Colley is finally back underway, but Colley, who has been having a top 4 run most of the day, now out of the points paying positions. And Dave's had this as well. His teammate has just had an incident the same, just a little bit farther down the track, and Fratters has gone off as well, potentially with damage to his car. Yeah, there's damage. So Fratters and Dave made contact by the looks of it. Dave went off circuit, and Fratters has damage. So Plastic now goes up in the 4th, and now he, on these worn medium tires, are trying to launch a charge against Zola at the front. Herbago is now within fighting range against Schumacher. It's really hard to tell who has the advantage at the front at this stage in the race, because I believe Schumacher is on the better tire strategy, but Herbago does not have time penalties. And there you are, Zach, Fratters, and Colley all having to pit, and it's going to be really bad for Fratters because they had to double stack the Haas's, so he's going to be way off sequence, way behind. You lose a bunch of time because of that. Fratters, to try and make the off, they have thrown on softs on his Haas, so he's betting on another yellow, or at least a VSC sometime soon, to try and negate the fact that he's going to have to pit again to throw on mediums to the end. At the end of this, about midway through this next lap, we'll be halfway through this event. Schumacher right now just trying to stretch out his tire life, so that way when he makes the swap on the mediums, he won't have to worry about it. Herbago, he had a run, and he's around, and Herbago spins out a second out of Wall of Champions! He doesn't hit anything, but Herbago had a great run on Schumacher, and he has thrown it all away! And that's not going to help the life on those tires either. That is a huge windfall for the Ferrari. It goes from a 3/10 second gap to a 9.6 second gap. Plastic still keeping touch with Zola, but I think Plastic's tires are just about past their use point. He will have to pit, but this has been an outstanding drive by Plastic thus far. Mercedes trying to follow Boothie as Boothie has circled his way up into 6th position, the highest of everyone who made those pit stops onto the mediums during that yellow flag. Mercedes, though, is pressuring him as his mediums are beginning to pass their peak life cycle. The hards still have some life in them, although they are falling off. I do believe the hards still have some respectable life in them at this stage in the race. DRS enabled. Boothie had better acceleration out of the hairpin, though. Boothie compromising his entrance in that hairpin to have better exit. And while Mercedes is using DRS to keep the gap stable, he's not closing at the rate that I think he was anticipating that he could close at. This is the most active battle on the circuit right now. So here's one other thing to consider with Herbago. If we get rain late in the race, I believe Herbago may go back to having the advantage because he will have he has, I think, the best chance of being able to make the crossover from hards into intermediates without any significant issue. So if we get rain, we're going to be, and there's been a yellow flag. Boothie has had a potential someone had an incident there in Sector 1. Also, Colleyboy has just set the fastest lap back there in 14, so good job on his part. But if we get rain, I think Herbago has an advantage. He can go ahead and throw on the intermediates without issue. He is in the best position of prepping for an extra stop if an extra stop is necessary. And Dave has caught Eggity. Boy, has he caught Eggity. He's out-dragging him even without DRS, and now even with DRS, the advantage goes even stronger in his favor. Nothing that the AlphaTauri can really do. And now Dave will open it up again in the on the front straight. Fight for 14th and 13th. Holly Boy trying to make a run on Fratters. And with DRS, he's got him. Now Fratters has the soft tires, but it seems like Holly Boy is just better with the car overall. And Mercedes now has a time penalty for track violations, as he's been struggling to get by Boothie. So Herbago's already closing the gap back down on Schumacher. It's down to just 8 seconds. And again, Schumacher has a time penalty. Herbago does not. So Herbago is starting to overcome his self-inflicted spin. And it's raining! It is now starting to rain! It's just beginning, but we are now beginning to see drops of rain falling on the circuit. So the question now becomes, well, when you make the changeover to the intermediate tires, will you need to time it right? You do it too early, you're going to knock off the best of those tires. You do it too late, you're going to lose too much time. Timing is going to be everything now. Dave trying to make a run on Mercedes. Dives to the inside, cuts the course just a bit. But Mercedes is having a bad run also, but Dave is really struggling with the medium tires. They're well past their use life, and now that rain is falling, things are going to go in the favor of the driver ahead, because DRS could get shut off at any time, and we've seen how hard it is to make overtakes here without DRS. Oh, this is a dangerous stance that these drivers are playing right now. Flavor now has a time penalty in 5th for track violations. So everyone in the top 8, except for Herbago, have a chime. Oh boy, and there's DRS, and Mercedes is around! No yellow, full course yellow, but DRS is disabled. Schumacher jumps in the pits. They're saying, hey, now DRS is off. Throw on the intermediates. Herbago is going to do the same. We expect Zola's going to do the same. Everyone's probably going to pit now. And this turns everything back into Schumacher's favor, because he was able to make his hards last long enough that he could jump onto the intermediates, and now he is on the exact same tire pace as Herbago. But Herbago does not have a time penalty, and if Herbago is still faster, he just needs to get within 3 seconds of Schumacher, and he'll still walk out of here with the race win. So I think Herbago still has the advantage. Flavor's pitting, Dave's pitting, everyone, quite literally everyone is pitting for the intermediates. Fratters stayed out. I do not know what the strategy is here in the Haas camp. It may be because they want to prioritize Zach F1 over Fratters, but Fratters has stayed out. And on these soft tires on a completely sick racetrack, this isn't going to go well. You just saw him cut the track there because he just has no control over this car. Oh, please be careful, mate. Please be careful, Fratters. Please be careful. Please be careful, Fratters. Don't turn it coming onto the throttle here. You need to get to the pits and be able to get this stop in. Alright, it looks like he'll be good. He should be able to pit safely. Ugh, that's risky, but I'm guessing they were prioritizing Zach. Interesting call, but Zach already working on Beastian. Now that the track is wet, though, there's no DRS, and overtakes have to be 100% driver skill focused. But this will be a fight now for the 11th position. 10th and 11th position. Zach trying to get back into the point spots. Here's the other question. Zola, the only man who has a little bit of experience as to what his car is going to be like in the wet. He said he really liked it. So now that the track is wet, will he be able to start closing the gap on the top two? Also, I want to give a big shout out to this man here, Plastic Love. Absolutely outstanding drive today. He has made his way up into the 4th position. Great run by every means. Flavor has recovered to 5th. Well, I shouldn't really say recovered. He's been hanging out in this position all day, and almost every mistake he's made has been minimal compared to everyone else. Flavor's been putting on an outstanding defensive drive today. Plastic Love has pretty much been the only person who's been able to overtake him by merit on the racetrack. So while Plastic Love has been putting on one of probably, if not the best offensive drive we've seen all day today, Flavor has put on one of, if not the absolute best defensive drive today. He's basically been like a blood-brain barrier, it feels like, between the top 4 and the rest of the field. Yeah, faster guys are outside of the top, have been outside of the top 5, but only Plastic has been able to overtake him. So Plastic and Flavor both have been putting on some outstanding drives today, but for 2 completely different reasons here. Boothie trying to close in on Eggity to get 7th spot, and Zach is still stalking Beastian. Fratters now has the time penalty for track violations, and Colley is coming back into the pits. So Colley now a lap down. Fratters also a lap down. Imperium a lap down. Zach a lap down. Beastian a lap down. No, I'm wrong. Never mind. Those drivers are not a lap down. Zach is not. Imperium is not. Yeah, these drivers are not a lap down. It's only Colley Boy who is a lap down. And Colley, in a bit of a frustrating scenario for Herbago, Herbago is actually losing time to Schumacher, and Colley is going to be right in between them. So there is a chance that Herbago ends up catching Colley in a part of the track that won't help him very much. All right. So Dave is now closing in on Flavor, and he's going to try and overtake Flavor on a merit. Again, no DRS, so every overtake we're going to see is either going to be driver ability or capitalizing on the mistakes of the people ahead. Zach still pressuring Beastian. He's not been able to figure out a way by him. Yeah, he goes to the outside. You don't normally see overtakes there, and that's the reason why. Even with the smaller cars, you couldn't really go side by side into that corner like that. But Zach is definitely aggressive, trying to figure out a way by the Mercedes. This might be it. Yeah, he's easily gonna outbrake Beastian into the braking zone, and he's by. So as long as he doesn't have trouble putting the throttle down, he won't. Zach is now by Beastian. And Zach, who is easily one of the top 3 fastest drivers all day, is finally back into the points. So the race has pretty much calmed down at this stage in the event. 14 of our 15 car drivers still on track. We've only had 1 yellow flag today, and it was very early in the race. For 5th, Dave continues to stalk Flavor. We can see the Alfa Romeo driver being really ginger, trying to put it down. It's kind of been a shame for the Alfa Romeo camp because they were 3rd and 4th at race start, coming off the line, but they didn't have the greatest. Oh, is that Boothie? Yes, Boothie has had an accident, and that is another full course yellow, and that is the last thing that Schumacher wanted to see. Full course yellow flag as Boothie has had an accident. And this now gives the advantage back to Herbago, because Herbago is the only man in the top 6 that does not have any time penalties. Zach just got a time penalty for ignoring the yellow flag somehow. That's not going to help him out for sure. But we have now entered the stage in the race where, due to a late race yellow, Herbago now has the default advantage over the rest of the field because Herbago does not have any time penalties and everyone else in the top 6 does. This will also help Fratters, Boothie, and Imperium gather up to the rear of the grid. For Collie Boy, sadly, no such fortune. Yeah, Herbago, 3 seconds of time penalty. Schumacher, 3 seconds of time penalties. Zola, 6 seconds. Plastic Glove, 9 seconds. Flavor only has 3 seconds. Dave has 3 seconds. Eggity has none, so this could work out well for him as well. Mercedes and Nath has 3 seconds. Zach has 5 seconds now. Beastian has 3 seconds. Imperium has 3 seconds. Collie Boy has none. Fratters, 15 seconds of time penalties. And Boothie only has 3. And actually, no, I'm wrong. It looks like, nope. So Fratters, Boothie, and Collie Boy all now a lap down at this stage in the event. So only the top 11 drivers still on the lead lap. And that's lap traffic between Schumacher and Herbago. Schumacher's going to let one of them pass. He might try to let the other one pass, and the Haas as well. Yes, he will. So Schumacher letting lap traffic pass. So Fratters now should be allowed to get by the pace car sometime soon. Collie Boy allowed to get back onto the lead lap, and he will most definitely appreciate that. And it looks like they may be trying to work together to let... Oh, and Fratters just got disqualified. That's bull... Well, Boothie's called a lap down. Collie Boy has gotten lucky. He's actually been allowed to stay on the lead lap, and he's now 12th. I do want to say credit to both Schumacher, Herbago, and Zola. All three of them trying to work something out to let lap down cars get back onto the lead lap. All right, and coming to the party now is Fratters. Fratters, go ahead and include your audio. Bullcrap disqualification, to say the least, but it looks like you've been struggling all day. What was the racing like out there for you?
Absolutely terrible. I just don't know pace at all. It's what I get for no practice, but to be honest, I don't know why I got disqualified. Like, I know I overtook the safety car, I get that, but then it told me to give the position back, and instead of counting down the full 15 seconds, it gave me 3 seconds and then just went, nah, we've had enough of this guy. Let's just get him off the track. I mean, I know I was a bit of a liability on the track today, but I thought that was really harsh.
Sadly, with that full-on disqualification, there's no way post-race to attempt and revert it. Well, when we go green, it looks like we're going to be going green with 5 laps left in the event. It's been a fight between Schumacher and Herbago at the front. I'm curious, in your perspective, who do you think has the advantage right now? Herbago has no time penalties, but Schumacher seems to be a little bit faster in the wet. Who do you think wins in this scenario?
I mean, Herbago's done everything right in terms of strategy. I think it's just unfortunate that, the safety cars have come out when they have, and, stuff like that. So, I'd like to see Herbago trying to stick it up his inside. But to be honest, Schumacher's very robust in his defence, so I would say either there will be a collision or Schumacher will run away with it.
Alright, well, I appreciate your insight. It's a shame to see you taken out like this. I will go ahead and say, if you want to stay in the booth to the end of the race, I have no problem with that. But if you're going to go, I'm fine with that as well. I'm not that lonely. But I do want to go ahead and throw the invite out there for someone who was literally just out there in the wet weather conditions. You'd have a different driver's eye going to the end of this race.
Yeah, I'll stay. I do like a bit of casting, except I'd rather be racing. But yeah, sure, we'll give it a go.
All right, so we should be going green with about 5 laps to go. Collie Boy allowed back onto the lead lap. And there's the word safety car officially coming in this lap for Eggity and Collie Boy. A little bit of frustration because Eggity not going to have the chance to properly catch the rear of the field. So in that scenario, it looks like your top 10 are pretty much locked in unless one of them have a major accident or collision on this restart.
Yeah,
when does Schumacher go?
It's a bit of a shame for them too. He's taking this a while. I reckon he'll go just before the final corner. No, he's waiting a little longer. Doesn't want to give the others a run.
That was a really standard fair start, and Plastic Love already going for it. Love has been on an amazing offense all day, and he doesn't wait. Immediately they go green. He goes to the outside of Zola once more. Has the inside of 2. Contact between the two of them. Zola trying to make a stick to make contact again. Zola barely staying ahead of Plastic Love. Love has been putting down an amazing offensive day, and he's just not done.
Yeah, that was tight. There was just enough space. You could argue we could have given a little more space with it being wet, but it was just enough, and fair hard racing, I'd say.
Well, now it's turned. Flavor is going to try and make an offensive overtake on Plastic, and now we see Dave has a better run than both of them ahead, and Beastian's gone off. Beastian has had an accident farther back. He has had trouble putting the power down, and now this has dropped him behind Eggity, who has just barely got the rear of the grid, and Zach is trying to pressure Mercedes once again for position.
Yeah, and all of that boost he managed to retire between turn 3 and 4, so that's unfortunate for him, but he didn't even reach the back of the safety car queue, so I don't think it would have made a difference to his finishing position.
Mercedes better than Zach on acceleration. Dave trying to make something happen on Flavor. He looks to the inside, neck and neck for a 5th position. One of the Alfa Romeos will finally get back into the top 5, or will he? They go extremely slow as they go through the World Championship chicane, and in the end, yes, Dave does get by Flavor, and Flavor's time has been compromised so bad that Zach might finally get a chance to overtake the Ferrari that's he's been struggling with all day today.
Yeah, I think the issue with this one is the Haas of Zach actually isn't in the lobby, so he'll probably be getting disqualified at the end of the session. Yeah, but through all of that, the Aston Martin of Mercedes ended up straight line in the chicane and dropped from 6th, I think it was, to 10th. So that's his chance of a decent finish gone, unless he can crawl it back.
Yeah, Mercedes is really struggling keeping the rear of that car together, and he very nearly swerved right in front of Collie Boy in that first of the Sector 2 chicanes. Meanwhile, at the front, Schumacher has opened up a 1.3 second gap on Herbago, but Schumacher needs to open up a 3-second gap on the McLaren if he wants a chance to win this race. Zola, to his credit, is not letting Herbago go. The problem, though, for Zola is that he has more time penalties than just about anyone else in the top 4, top 5 positions right now.
Yeah, I think the battle to be watching at the minute is between Dave and Flavor, because Flavor is getting very spicy with his gearbox. He's looking for a move now.
Zach trying to do something to Zach's AI trying to do something to Flavor again, but if what you're saying is true, which I have no reason to think it's not, and Zach's AI is doing all the work, that AI is just blasting Flavor through every single corner, and he's now by. And just brake checked the Ferrari.
Yeah, unfortunately the AI is incredibly slow in the corners, so there's almost like no point in fighting it. You've kind of got to let it go. But it sucks because he's now lost like 2 seconds to Dave, so that battle's pretty much almost over, and Flavor's just got to look behind him now to Imperium.
Yeah, Imperium struggling a bit. Oh, well, did something just happen there? So I saw some sort of wing debris, or looked like some sort of debris coming off of a car ahead of Flavor and Imperium. I couldn't tell if it was Zach or Dave, but someone may have wing damage. Is that Dave? In fit? Yes, I believe Dave has wing damage.
Yeah, Dave's lost his end plate.
Could this have ramifications that will bring Flavor back into the fray here?
I would say yes. I would say yes. Although, having said that, Dave did say that his car felt better when he had a little bit of wing damage at the start of the race. So it depends on how bad the damage is, depends on if he'll actually prefer it or not.
Well, coming down to it, Imperium preparing to make a move on Flavor, and Dave just got another time penalty. That's not going to help him. At the front, though, it looks like this is going to be a Herbago victory because the gap has opened up to about 1.3 seconds and has stayed there. Herbago doing a good job keeping Schumacher in his sights and is going to win this race on penalty countback unless he makes a mistake. There's only 2 laps left. I don't think Herbago is going to drop off by 1.7 seconds between now and race end.
I think he's just that little bit too quick.
Oh, Beastian's crashed in Sector 3.
Yeah, coming out of the final corner. I think he's hit the wall on the inside, which is an interesting one. But only 11 runners left. Everyone now gets points because of the fastest lap outside of the top 10. So,
well, for Eggedy, he might be... Eggedy's trying to fight for 10th position because Colley in 10th has 3 seconds of time penalties, as is Mercedes in 9th. Eggedy 3.5 seconds out. If he can close in on 9th and 10th, he might be able, on penalty countback, to end up getting 2 points out of this.
Yeah, for Cooley to actually get anything more out of this race, he needs to get Imperium now, as Mercedes gets past Imperium.
Colley is there. Colley is looking, but with no DRS, it becomes so much harder to make overtakes around here. Oh, that Mercedes and the Williams both really struggle out of Wall of Champions, and there, Eggedy now has the time penalty, so I take that back. Eggedy is locked into an 11th place finish, it would appear.
I think Imperium hit the wall slightly. I think he got away with it, though. Very lucky there.
Mercedes really slow coming out of that turn 2 hairpin, and Imperium just couldn't capitalize. The track's so wet and his tires are so worn, he couldn't do anything with it. Colley boy, another 3 seconds of time penalties. So yeah, that's it. Imperium is now just going to fight between himself and Mercedes for that position. Flavor might be close enough. He might be able to nick Zach's AI at the line.
On the wall and he's out.
And that's out, and Colley is out last lap of the race. And this is interesting. The gap between first and second is open to 2.4 seconds. There's only 1 chicane left. Herbago needs to not make a mistake, because Herbago's chance at a win is slipping. It's still in his hands, but it's slipping. He's closing in the straight as they come through the final chicane one last time. He'll get it. Just barely, but Herbago will win on penalty countback. Again, Schumacher is denied a victory this year as Herbago goes for another victory. Herbago outright in championship contention. Zola comes home 3rd. Plastic Love will come home possibly 5th. Dave might nip him on penalty countback. No, Plastic Love gets 4th. Dave will get... No, Flavor is going to still finish 5th overall. Flavor is still going to finish 5th overall with an incredible defensive drive all day today.
That was an interesting end to the race. With Zach's disqualification, Flavor will end up getting 5th, as you say. And Cooley Boy ended up losing out on fastest lap as well because he's crashed. Because he says lap time in the softs when it was dry. So, bit of a shame for him, considering he had to go like half on a lap to get points.
Yeah. That's really, really frustrating as just instance throughout the race, just kind of keep him out of it. There are a lot of people I actually want to talk to because that was a very, very interesting race. Just look at it. But first, I want to talk with our race winner, Herbago. Herbago, can you hear me? All right, Herbago, include your audio. From pole to win, congratulations here. What do you have to say about that run today? All right, so with this win, you close in on both Zola and Schumacher. You have most definitely turned this into a 3-car fight for the championship. Do you think you can win the title this year? Oh. Herbago, include your audio. Bring up the Xbox party, and at the top, it will be a little thing that will say party is being streamed. It will have a box that will say include my audio.
Do you hear me now?
Click on that. Zola, does it work now?
Can you hear me now on the stream?
Yep,
Nice.
yeah, we can. Okay, let's real quickly go back over this then, Herbago. Real quickly, about the race, what do you have to say?
It was a great race. We didn't crash a lot as a whole. All the drivers didn't crash a lot, and I think it was a clean race. And congratulations to Schumacher because he was fantastic. And I mean, without the safety car, he would won. But I mean, the luck was there, so I won. Right.
All right, so with this win, you close in on both Zola and Schumacher. You've made this into a 3-way title fight. Do you think you have a chance at stealing the championship?
I can predict anything right now because Schumacher. I mean, Schumacher and Zola are super fast, but I think I can clinch that 2 races to go, so we'll see.
All right, we'll see. Great job, mate. Now I want to go ahead and talk with our second place finisher, Schumacher. Schumacher, include your audio. Very interesting start of the race. Very interesting race throughout. It looked like you had it in the bag, but in the end, time penalty for track cutting gets you another win denied. What do you have to say about your race today?
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm not happy, so just not happy. Yeah. So yeah, put it like that. I'm bloody unhappy. So, yeah.
Well, you can take confidence and solace in this at least. You will extend Ferrari's lead in the Manufacturers' Championship, and you do extend your lead over Zola in the Drivers' Championship as well, so it's not a complete loss at least.
Yeah. So, anyway, Silverstone next, so let's go to Silverstone and see what happens.
All right. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate.
Man.
Good run. All right, I want to talk about the third place finisher, Zola, real quickly. Zola, interesting race for you, which kind of started in Q3 at qualifying. You went out there once on softs and then again on intermediates in the rain in Q3. You had a bit of a knowledge advantage and a preparedness advantage going into the race if there was rain. Lo and behold, there was rain. Did that advantage help you in any significant way today? Alright, I'm going to be honest. Zola, I understand what you're saying, but you can't be that hard about yourself, mate. You started 5th, you made your way up to 3rd, and on merit, you held on to 3rd position very solidly all day today. And with your record of typically showing up to every race across the season, I still think you have a very serious shot at stealing this championship. All right, well, either way, another great podium finish, and although you will lose ground to your title rivals, you are still in it. Hopefully things do turn around a little bit better for you at Silverstone. We're used to seeing you be able to pull off wins, and hopefully that works out for you next week or something like that. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. And now I want to talk with our 4th and 5th place finishers, Plastic Love and Flavor. Go ahead, you two, include your audio. I'm going to be honest, if it came down to driver of the day, I don't know who to give it to between the two of you, because both of you had diametrically opposite incredible runs today. Flavor, I want to start with you. You started a little bit lower in the field. You made your way up into 4th, 5th position, and you held 5th. 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 And you 5th. And at the end of the race, when you factor in the fact that Zach F1 and the Haas is going to get disqualified, you still come home 5th. You acted like an impermeable barrier. The drivers who were outside of the top 4 did not make it back in there, with only one exception. That is incredible defense at a track that is normally offensive focus. And now I want to go ahead and turn to Plastic real quickly. Plastic, on the other hand, you made so many moves, pulled out so many passes throughout the entire day. You were on point with offense all day, and the only reason you didn't get a podium is just because of time penalties. If it came down to driver of the day, I can't decide between the two of you, because Flavor Pond is one of the best defensive runs you'll ever see at Montreal, and Plastic, you put on probably the best offensive run we're ever going to see all season long. What do you two have to say about the race in general from your perspective, though?
You go first, Plastic. Hello?
Plastic. Plastic, are you still there?
He might have gone.
Okay, Flavor, you
okay.
go ahead first
That's
then.
me.
Hopefully he comes back.
Yeah, no, I thought I had a good race. Qualifying was okay. I thought I wish I'd have put a little bit better, but even if I had have done better, I'd have only gained 1 place, so I was quite happy with that. I think the race went well from the start. I did spin, but managed to catch up with the safety cars. Just managed to hold, and I'm over the moon with 5th, if I'm honest. With Leif getting 2nd as well. Schumacher. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped, to be honest. Yeah, I just want to do my best I can to give him the points to do, to compete really, and that's my aim, and that's what I'm trying to do, just compete. And I'm enjoying competing, because I felt like I could compete last season, but I was always just not quite good enough, not quite fast enough. So yeah, it's I just think it's wonderful to compete, and I really enjoy it. And there were some good fights out there today. Yeah, I just wanted to be hard to pass. I did a Zola, to be honest. Just took a page out of Zola's book. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good race. I thought it was really good. Some good driving out there from all of X3 as well, I thought, if I'm honest.
All right. Well, outstanding job. One second. I'm still trying to get Plastic Love in. He was in the party, but it seemed like something wasn't working, so we're trying to get him back in here. But yeah, also, Flavor, good news. With another podium finish from your teammate and then another top 5 from you, Ferrari begins to tighten their grasp on the Manufacturers' Championship. So I do want to say great job on that as well, mate.
Quite a way to go, mate, but yeah, thank you. Quite a way to go, and there's really some good drivers in this league, so yeah, we'll just keep going, man, and keep trying to compete really, safely and cleanly if I can. But yeah, nice one.
All right, I'm still trying to get Plastic back into the party because he has expressed interest in doing this interview, but it's just not working out for him. I don't know what the problem is that's causing this holdup.
Let me see if I can. I don't know if I've got him on my friends list, if I'm honest. That'd be a no.
Yeah, bit of a headache there. Yeah. But I do want to talk with Plastic real quickly, though. But yeah, either way, fantastic race from Montreal all around, one way or another. Doesn't matter how you look at. Probably one of the best races we've seen all season long. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot else to say. 1 second. Hey, am I set to offline for you guys?
I don't think so. Oh, you are, yeah.
All right. 1 second. I'm going to try this again. I should be set to online at this point. Try now. If you can't join off of me, join off of Schumacher or Flavor.
Sorry.
All right. Well, we're still struggling to get Plastic into the party because I do want to hear what he has to say about the race still. It's just Xbox is being Xbox, and Xbox is being a little bit frustrating when it comes to its party invite system. But yeah, that's weird. I don't know why Xbox says I'm offline, because I'm still online. I've not start myself offline for like 2 weeks at this point, so don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, it does that. It's not you, it's Xbox. I just want to say, I know Plastic's listening. If Plastic is listening, he's in now.
There he is.
Then
He's in
I just
now.
want to say before Plastic talks, I just want to say he did brilliant today, because I was trying to keep him behind me. I wanted to, and it was just too good for me today. It was, to be fair, to get in front of me. So fair play to you, mate. All right.
All right, I do want to go ahead and talk with Plastic. Plastic, make sure your audio is included. Outright amazing offense. We already went ahead and talked about Flavor's amazing defense. Mate, you were on the offense all day today. You were making overtakes. You were attempting overtakes in the wet where no one else was really trying. You were doing stuff in the dry without DRS. You were doing stuff in the dry with worse tires, better tires, with DRS, without DRS. It didn't matter. Nothing seemed to stop you, and you come home fourth. The only reason you didn't get a podium is because of penalty count back. Walk us through the race from your perspective, mate. What do you have to say? All right, outstanding.
You got the gap, Plastic, for because I span. That's why. That's why you got the gap. But yeah, fair play today, mate. Well done. I'd give the drive. Yeah, I'd give the driver of the day to Plastic, mate. I would actually. I really would. Yeah, well deserved.
All right. By the way, Plastic, I just want to say again, absolutely outstanding. Especially that overtake you did on the restart with no DRS going into Wall of Champions, Takuma Sato style, was absolutely amazing. Probably one of the highlights. I was absolutely losing it here in the booth because it was just so bloody good seeing you pull that off. All right. Once again, thank you, Plastic, for jumping in and talking with us despite the headaches with Xbox Party. And with that in mind, we'll go ahead and close off our broadcast here. In about an hour's time, though, on the main channel, X2 will be going underway for their race at Montreal. Until next time, though, I've been your host, Insane Leader 13. Thank you very much for joining us, and goodbye.